This is the best Tamaki Amajiki figure out there, and it happens to be a budget figure. Let's see why. Welcome to Running on Empty. This is the Amazing Heroes Plus Volume 8 by Bandai Spirits at around 26 USD. At 279 grams and 17.5 centimeters from base to hair, this is a decently sized and weighted figure which, even though it is a budget figure, to me, looks and feels premium. I'll get the few weak points out of the way first before focusing on the many positives. Firstly, Sun Eater comes apart in 4 different parts, including the base, which to me is a weakness because it makes a figure unstable and susceptible to breaking when you have to assemble it yourself. In fact, on my Tamaki, I couldn't fully put his clamshell hand in place at the wrist because I was afraid of pushing it through on the delicate looking attachment that they've got. So in the end, this is how my Tamaki is going to stay from now on, looking a little bit incomplete. But really, those are the main weaknesses for this figure. And usually I would complain about the see-through black plastic of the base because I think it looks cheap, but it was actually useful to me to see where the holes were under his feet for me to put him in place. Now, on to the positives. For me, straight away, the presentation of his quirk is amazing on this figure. The clamshell hand is really nice, but the hand morphing into tentacles is definitely my favorite. I think it's superbly crafted. I like the way his skin tone turns from fair to red, the details of his palm, and all the many details of the tentacles. The next big draw for me on this figure is the phenomenal costume sculpt, with the elegantly billowing cape, the superb wrinkle detail of his kilt, the metallic detail of his shoulder pads, the armor on his forearm, and his face mask. Paired with his wide dynamic stance, it really illustrates the power and energy Amajiki is exerting as he leaps into action, which, for a timid guy like him, highlights not just his professionalism, but also his heroic spirit. This is a guy who barely talks, so for me, this fierce, open-mouthed expression is another way they're demonstrating the inspirational way he doesn't let his shyness keep him from giving voice and just doing what needs to be done to save lives. I love that this figure doesn't need any pegs or supports to keep him up, and I also like that, despite the base, Tamaki can actually stand on his own. However, for added stability so that you don't accidentally knock him over, I say keep him on the base though. In terms of paint job, aside from his right hand skin tone, there are no other areas on this figure with added shadows or highlights. But that's okay because even though the paint job is flat for the majority of the figure, since the sculpt is really great, it elevates the simple colors that they've gone with. Now, there are only 7 Amajiki figures out there, but only 3 of those are true to character figures, meaning they're not pops or caricatures. And of those 3, one is an expensive figure over $100 and also has this gimmicky wording which I don't like. I'm also not too big of a fan of his expression on this expensive figure, because once again, yes, Amajiki is shy, but for the most part that's dispensed with when he's leaping into action, so I like it when they illustrate him looking more fierce. The second figure is a budget figure exactly like this one, but that one doesn't have the clamshell or the tentacles showing off his quirk, which, yes, the figure still looks okay, but if you're going to get a budget Sun Eater figure, why wouldn't you get the one which shows off his awesome quirk like this one, right? This is an amazing figure, and to me is easily the best Sun Eater figure out there. A+.